Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. This is MahfuzVanGogh, your dredge guy, and today we have something spicier than our previous Legacy Leagues, maybe, because I feel like we are trying new things. Recently, we did try Live from the Loam in 64 builds, and we also played with some solid strategies from the last year, like Turbo Dredge, traditional Blue Dredge. But today I will try a traditional Blue Dredge list with Tamiyo, Inquisitive Student. We will try 3 copies of this card in our deck, and the idea behind Tamiyo is that, at least against tempo or against slower builds when your opponent has some sort of hate or several counter spells, we can deploy a Tamiyo. We can easily flip it to Tamiyo Seasoned Scholar, because we have Brainstorm and we also have Careful Study. Tempo decks usually need to cast Brainstorm or a mix of Mishra's Bubble, Pounder, Natural Draws, to then flip Tamiyo, but we can do that easily just by casting Careful Study or Brainstorm, and we have 4 copies of each, so maybe we can be the best Tamiyo deck in Legacy. I would like to play 4 copies to test this card, but it is so difficult to include 4 copies of this card in our deck. To include 3 copies, I have only 2 Poxwalkers instead of 3, and 1 less Bridge from Below that sometimes is expendable. I'm still playing 14 lands, including 1 copy of Undercity Sewers and 2 Underground Sea. This could easily be Watergrave, because our games usually don't end because of life, right? Usually we can win the game with a high life total. And we have Force of Will, we have Daze, Tamiyo is a blue card, so we have several blue sources here, 26 blue spells in our deck. This is huge. So Force of Will is more reliable than ever. And in our sideboard we have 8 Leylines, the full playset of Leyline. I saw recently in Magic Online more and more players with green decks, with Endurance and Bojuka Bog, so let's play Line of Sanctity here instead of Unmask. This gives us protection against those cards, and also Ashen Rider, Dread Return. If we need to exile something to win the game, we can include it. 5 answers to Leyline or other permanents, 3 copies of Into the Floodmoy, 2 Equine Truths, and that's pretty much it. Before building this, you can see here, this is Blue Dredge 7.0, this is my Tamiyo build. I thought for a moment about including the Thassa's Oracle combo. So Dread Return, 1 Thassa's Oracle, and 1 extra, probably Bridge, or maybe 1 land in the main deck. So this way we could ultimate Tamiyo, drawing our entire deck, or drawing / dredging our entire deck, and win with Thassa's Oracle on the spot. But I'm not sure if Tamiyo would be that reliable in our deck yet. I don't want to go full all in on Tamiyo before testing it. But consider that we might, in the future soon, if Tamiyo stays in the format, because we have a ban announcement in less than 2 weeks. But if Tamiyo stays in the format, we might try some combo, tempo / combo deck with Thassa's Oracle, including Tamiyo. So we can be a dedicated Tamiyo deck. You can try to protect the queen and then ultimate Tamiyo to win the game, like some Doomsday decks can do, or other decks that also play Tamiyo these days. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this league with me. Click the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment below, especially if you want to see me testing this Tamiyo build with different other cards. Like I said, maybe we can include Thassa's Oracle here. And even if you don't want to see me doing that, please let me know here in the comments, because I always read every comment counts. And we are growing this channel together. Now let's jump into today's league right now. Round 1, we are paired against comobisque, and we have a solid hand. This will be probably a basic island. Let's skip. We have Force of Will with the blue pitch here. No Tamiyo yet. But that's fine. And I have a super extremely good coffee here. My opponent plays a plains. So we like that. At least on game 1 we like that. After sideboarding, this will probably be harder. Okay, my opponent passed. We draw a Dredger. So let's grab a basic island here, and I'll cast Careful Study. My opponent has Force of Will, exiling Narset. So this is a control matchup. I have my own Force of Will here. Okay, is Careful Study resolving? Yes, and we have a second land. That's great. We have 2 Dredgers here. Let's pass the turn. So my opponent is playing Control, or maybe a combo deck with Narset. Just Sky Control probably. So basic mountain, no islands yet. We could cast Brainstorm now, just to put Poxwalkers and Bridge back if we manage to chain several Dredgers. I think I'll do it on our upkeep. And that's the blessing of being an instant. Dredge 6 again, and Dredge 6 again, great. So we have Dredgers there, no Dredge 6. We have Cabal Therapy, we have Bridges. So let's put Poxwalkers, Bridge, and we can always cast Cabal Therapy targeting ourselves if we need to discard Grave Trolls. Narco enters. Narco's came in 2. So if my opponent has a Source to Plowshares, this will not be enough. Dredge 5. Okay, another Bridge there. So all of our 3 Bridgers are there. We have Dredges. We don't need to worry about our Grave Trolls, I think. Let's cast Cabal Therapy targeting my opponent. And let the triggers resolve. Okay, my opponent conceded before resolving Cabal Therapy. That was a 1 on turn 2. Now, against control, we revealed some Tamiyos to my opponent, but I think that's okay. I don't think we want to do anything that different against control. We could side some of our forces here to include Dredge Return and National Rider, but this is a Jeskai deck. My opponent might have cards like Lavinia or other stuff, so including some bounce spells is always a good idea if this is the case. I personally don't like these in this matchup, and forces are also not as their best. Let's exchange days for 3 copies of Into the Flood Maw. Let's try like that first, and we can re-evaluate for game 3 if we get there. Okay, this seems good. I noticed that my opponent had basic mountain, basic plains, so they might have something like Back into Basics or some moon effects. My opponent played Flooded Strand and passed. We have a basic island. I will play it, and I will also pass the turn. Let's see what else my opponent has. They didn't crack the Flooded Strand. Okay, now they do. For Tundra. And they want to cast Stoneforge Mystic. That's interesting. Let's cast Otherworldly Gaze first. Okay, we have a bounce spell there. I'm not interested in those cards, so let's put everything into our graveyard. And I think this will resolve. We can always Force of Will my opponent's Force of Will after this resolving. I think it's better. They chose Better Skull. And again, I would cast my Brainstorm here. But we have only a Dredge 4 there, so this maybe is not the best play. Okay, my opponent has a Force of Will. We also have a Force of Will. My opponent exiled Jace. Will it resolve? Yes, Dredge 4. And that's it, unfortunately. That's bad, that's bad. Oh, that's so bad. Guys, we are Brainstorm locked now. We will probably lose this game. But let's try a little bit here. We have 2 turns to draw something relevant. We need a second land. We couldn't reach a second land here. We have only another Flooded Strand there. After 16 cards deep into our deck. Sometimes it happens. I knew that it would be difficult to chain Dredges there. So it's a calculated risk. My opponent taps 2 mana to put an equipment. It's Cauldra. Cauldra is fine. It's a fast clock, but we have 2 turns to draw something. This would be a Dredger. This is not relevant. Let's pass. So this is a Stoneforge deck. Stoneblade. Jeskai Stoneblade with Narset and Jace. Brainstorm and another land. My opponent is not attacking with Stoneforge because they have a Better Skull. And we will draw a Bridge. So let's concede here. We will not win this. Let's do better on the play. So no forces on the play, but I will still keep Daze. And this is because my opponent has solid turn 2 plays, and they also might have a Force of Will or Force of Negation against us on turn 1. So I think this is better. And let's include 1 Dredge Return, 1 National Rider. Instead of 1 bounce spells, we will keep 2 to the Flood Maws. And let's submit. Yes, I would like to play first. This can be incredibly good if we have a Dredger on top, but we probably have better hands than that. Let's mulligan. This is like the worst version of the previous hand. This is like a mulligan to 3. My opponent also had a mulligan. Let's go to 5. Okay, this is slightly better. We have Tamiyo now. And after that, nothing. Let's skip and see what is happening. My opponent also kept is going to 5, I mean. So maybe. Let's see if Tamiyo resolves. What can we do to win the game after that? This is a white deck, so my opponent might have a Source of Plowshares, but they have had a mulligan to 5. If they have Force of Negation, this is good. Tamiyo. Oh, it's in play. Tamiyo is in play. Let's see if it's surviving for at least 1 turn. Oh, my opponent kept a hand without lands. They might have Surgical Extractions and some other stuff. So that's good for us, and Otherworldly Gaze is also good. I will play Underground Sea, and I'll attack with Tamiyo. We investigate, we have a clue. Guys, this is my first time playing with Tamiyo. So it's kind of exciting having new pets, new pets, new toys, I mean. So now what? I think I will just crack the clue here. Let's draw 1 card, Bridges, whatever. I would like to have other enablers before committing to Otherworldly Gaze because my opponent might have, okay, now this is what I wanted from the beginning. So let's play Wooded Flooded Strand, and now I attack. Because now I can cast Otherworldly Gaze even twice, or cracking the clue in response if my opponent tries to cast Surgical on something. Yeah, they kept a hand without lands. Now they need to discard something. So let's crack Flooded Strand for an Underground Sea, and I'll cast Otherworldly Gaze. Okay, Dredgers. Let's put all of them into our graveyard. And I'll not crack the clue because I think my opponent might have something. Very Macabre, and they decided not to use it. Alright, so let's dredge. I was worried about card like that. Oh, my opponent now will cast Fairy Macabre on our both Dredgers, but I'll crack my clue in response to that, so I can save Grave Troll. Yes, and Narco, have Narco now. Yes, I would like to use Narco's ability. You can exile my Sync with Imp, that's fine. And now I'll play my Cephalic Coliseum and attack with Tamiyo again. I'm reflipping Tamiyo on purpose here. I can draw through Dredge 1 just to flip it, since my opponent is stuck without lands. This might be good, having one Planeswalker. It's harder to get rid of one Planeswalker here. So yeah, let's do it now. I will dredge, draw, draw. Oh, have days now. My opponent is doomed. Let's discard you, and you. I don't get it. Why Tamiyo is not flipping? We did draw 2 extra cards, right? Why Tamiyo didn't flip there? When you draw your 3rd card in a turn, exile Tamiyo, then return her to the battlefield transformed. We did that. We draw... Oh no, we dredged. Of course. Ah, I'm so stupid. Of course we do it. Okay. This was a solid win. But now I'm getting used to play with Tamiyo. I forgot that we had a dredge action on our upkeep. Of course, we would not flip Tamiyo. Let's go to round 2. I want to say thank you to all my patrons that you can see here on this page. Guys, you are awesome, and I can create content because of your continuous support. If you also want to help me as a content creator, please go there, check my Patron page, patreon.com/thedredgeguy. See you there. Okay, we are on the draw. My opponent is telling me good luck, have fun. Hi, you too. So we are on the draw. We have an answer if my opponent is a combo deck, and if they are not, we can always cast Cabal Therapy discarding Sync with Imp, or waiting one turn for a Surveil Land. So let's keep it. And if we don't need to cast Force of Will this turn, we might even cast Otherworldly Gaze. This is not the best hand, but this has some tools. Oh, my opponent is a big fan of our channel. Thank you. I'm recording a new video now. Okay, my opponent has a basic island and Ponder. We don't need to counter that, so that's fine. This is a show and tell deck, basic island, Ponder. This might be a combo deck. And if that's the case, we can always cast... okay, my opponent declined to use Ponder's ability to cast Polluted Delta targeting my opponent here. We have another Dredger. I'll cast a blind Cabal Therapy targeting my opponent, naming Force of Will, because this is too suspicious. And at least we know that our own Force of Will will resolve. I'll name Force of Will, if needed, I mean. Yeah, my opponent had Force of Will. This is another Stoneforge deck. And now my opponent has 2 Brainstorms. Okay, and Plug On. So this is not show and tell, this is not a combo deck, but my opponent's hand is good. They play Misty and passed. So they will hold the Brainstorm here. I'll still hold Otherworldly Gaze here. I'll have a natural draw, I think. Or we can cast Otherworldly Gaze here. Trying to hit another blue card on top. Yeah, let's try like that. My opponent might cast Brainstorm here to find a counterspell. Yeah, but this is a risk. We have lands here. It's fine if my opponent does everything here just to counter our Otherworldly Gaze. That's actually fine. Oh, they will try again? No, just Archive to Surveil. Okay, Narcomoeba, Daze, and another land. Narcomoeba will be in our graveyard, and we have a Cabal Therapy, so that's good. Do I keep those cards? I can keep both of them. I like them. Especially against this opponent, I like having more lands after cracking Cephalic Coliseum. And Daze is a blue card, and then we can... Yeah, let's keep both of them. I'll keep Scouting Turn on top, and then Daze on top. Narcomoeba is here. And now we'll have a natural draw. And now it's interesting. I can cast Cabal Therapy targeting my opponent just to take one of those cards from their hand. We have Daze here, we have Force of Will. Let's play Cephalic Coliseum. We can also grab the second Brainstorm. Or we can just discard one Dredger here. I'm not sure if any of these possibilities is the correct one. Because we have counter spells, and if we cast Cabal Therapy on our opponent, is like a 2-for-1, just to grab one of those cards and to have more information. And then next turn we have only a land, and we will not have ways to put our Dredgers in our graveyard. So I know it's weird, but I'll just pass the turn here. I'll not cast Cabal Therapy yet. Let's save it for next turn. We know about 3 of our opponent's cards. I think they probably have all of them. Next turn we can always cast a Sync with Imp and then finally cast Cabal Therapy, sacrificing Sync with Imp. This is slower, but okay, you can plow my Narcomoeba, I don't care. They have Flooded Strand, and they will pass. Okay, so far so good. We have Scouting Turn. I will crack it. Do we need basics here? I don't think we need basics here, but let's grab one just in case. Now it's interesting because I know that my opponent's plan is probably casting Brainstorm and get something better, cracking that Flooded Strand, maybe bringing another Survey land to the table. So just play into it. Let's cast Sync with Imp, and I'll cast Cabal Therapy targeting them. Sync with Imp will go finally to our graveyard. My opponent will cast Brainstorm, that's fine. The obvious name here is Stoneforge Mystic. If they want to hide Stoneforge on top, that's okay, but then they will not have the value of cracking Flooded Strand this turn. And we did what we needed, which was putting our Dredger there. So let's name Stoneforge. And if we missed it, that's fine. Okay, they still had the Forge, Plagan, and another Source to Plowshares. And we'll pass the turn. Opponent cracks Flooded Strand for another Surveil land. They don't want Misty. If they just cast Plagon here, I'll just... It's Plagan or Plagan, guys. I'm not sure how to pronunciate that. But if they cast this Starfish... Oh no, they will Ponder first. We can counter it easily. Especially now that we have days. Okay, they played Flooded Strand. They'll cast Stoneforge Mystic instead. So let's counter it. I don't want to deal with that. And now we have perfect information. So if we reach Remarkable Therapies, it will be easier to disrupt our opponent's hand. Let's dredge. Okay, we don't have other dredgers there. If we crack Cephalic Elysium, it will be fair. Draw 3, discard 3. We can always cast Otherworldly Gaze and try to do better next turn. I think we will do a fair Cephalic Elysium here. We can even draw another land and then cast Otherworldly Gaze. Oh, and Tamiyo. Tamiyo is interesting. My opponent has Source of Plowshare, so not this turn. But let's put you, and you there. Now I'll cast Careful Study. We will dredge 5. Another Narcomoeba would be sweet. Dredge 5 again. Okay, Narco is there. So let's discard our dredgers. We have 1 Poxwalkers. My opponent will definitely exile it with Source of Plowshares, but that's fine. We have a zombie. My opponent cracks Flooded Strand for a Tundra. Okay, so I imagine they still have Plagan or Plagan. So let's name it the Lord of the Beach. Yes. And now my opponent is Hellbent. We have a Tamiyo for next turn and 3 lands in play. And this Surveil is Cabal Therapy. We can put it in our graveyard. And we will pass the turn. I'm not sure if my opponent noticed our Tamiyo in our graveyard. Okay, they drew something good. Nadu! Oh, my opponent is a Nadu deck. Of course, because of Plagan. It makes sense. So now what? Am I casting Otherworldly Gaze here? Maybe keeping some Enabler on top? My opponent is Hellbent. Yes, let's do it. Okay, Cephalic Elysium on top. Yeah. Tamiyo will have to wait for another game because this is too sweet. So we draw Cephalic Elysium. Are we cracking it? Or we just play Tamiyo first? Are we in a rush here? Because we cannot win the game with this slower Blue Dredge build. We don't have Thassa's Oracle in this build. In the next one, we will try Thassa's Oracle. So we still have one other therapy, one other bridge. Narco 1. We still have 2 Narcos and another Poxwalkers. So yeah, we will crack it. But my opponent can always top deck something scary and win the game out of nowhere. So we will dredge 5, dredge 6. Narco is there, dredge 6 again. And we did our thing. We have 8 remaining cards in our deck. We did our thing. We will put many zombies there. Let's see if my opponent can win the game on their turn. I will cast Cabal Therapy here just to make some zombos and return Poxwalkers. Let's name Sticker Goblin. Like usual, we still have another one. Let's cast it. I'm sorry. And now we actually need more than 1 turn to win the game, unfortunately. Let's wait here. And because my opponent has Source to Plowshares, this is not that easy. But my opponent conceded. They probably drew a blank there. And we would have almost lethal. So, okay. Now, on the draw against this opponent after sideboarding. I'm not sure if we need something like Leyline of the Void. We didn't see Cephalic Delusionist. I believe my opponent probably has that card. We could try Dread Return here. Daze is not that good against this opponent. So let's include Dread Return, Ashen Rider, and 1 bounce spell. Let's try like that. Okay, this is unfortunately not the best hand. This is equivalent of a mulligan to chew, so let's mulligan. This is so much better. Let's skip. There is no comparison. We can put Poxwalkers back, and our first play will be probably Otherworldly Gaze. My opponent has Flooded Strand and passes. Passing the turn is good. Another force is not the worst. Let's play a basic island and pass. My opponent wants to crack Flooded Strand. Let's take this opportunity to resolve our Otherworldly Gaze. Just Narcomoeba. Am I keeping another land? It's not the worst draw. Let's keep Underground Sea on top. My opponent probably have a Surveil land here. Yeah, Hedge Maze. They kept the card on top. Fetch land and Grafdigger's Cage. We will try to counter it, right? So let's exile Careful Study. My opponent cracks Windswept Heath in response. For a tropical island, is this Veil of Summer? Yes, let's counter Veil of Summer. We need to do that. This is a great pile of cards. It seems we won the counter war. Great. We are so winning this. Let's draw our Underground Sea. I'll cast my Otherworldly Gaze here. Dredgers are there. That's nice. We don't need this Underground Sea anymore. So now we will attack with Narcomoeba. We have only one fetchable land left in our deck, which is Undercity Sewers. Hopefully we will not mill it with Golgar Grief Troll. My opponent has Tamiyo. Oh, and they will flip it immediately. Now it's a race. Our deck is not particularly good in racing Tamiyo. And this is, again, because we are still not playing with the combo with Thassa's Oracle. But if my opponent has nothing else there, I'm not seeing white mana yet, this might be fine. We need to find more enablers. Otherworldly Gaze is good. Tamiyo goes up. And Basic Island, no white mana. No white mana is good. Ponder. My opponent shuffles. Shuffling is also good. And now we'll dredge 6. Okay, we have one Otherworldly Gaze there. We can start casting Instinct with Imps in a minute. We unfortunately milled our Undercity Sewers, so we don't have any other lands, right? 2 Basic Islands, 2 Underground Seas, and 1 Undercity. This Scouting Turn. This Scouting Turn activation is actually good to shuffle back Poxwalkers in our deck. We had a Poxwalkers, remember? So I'll do it. This will feel to my opponent like a mistake, but it is actually on purpose, because we need Poxwalkers to win this game. Yeah, we have Ashen Rider there. This is our escape here. We need Poxwalkers and Dread Return. Hopefully this will resolve. Okay, Cabal Therapy. And Careful Study for next turn. We don't need Polluted Out, of course. It is risky because my opponent might have other counter spells, but I think we need to take some risks here. I will keep Careful Study on top and pass the turn. We can always cast Cabal Therapy targeting my opponent, naming a counter spell if we feel that my opponent has some. Let's pass. Okay, they have Nadu, and Tamiyo goes up. Alright, we will draw our Careful Study. My opponent still has 3 cards in their hand. I don't think I will cast Cabal Therapy here. Let's try to resolve this Careful Study first. Okay, it's resolving. Dredge 5 and Dredge 6. Come on, Dredge Return. 1 Bridge. Let's discard 2 Grave Trolls. We have the full play set of Narcomoebas in play, but we need more than that. Since we have 1 Bridge, and I feel like my opponent has white cards in their hand, I think I will cast Cabal Therapy here to have more information, because my opponent might have Source of Plowshares. Let's see. Or maybe Stoneforges, something like that. Maybe Stoneforge Mystic is actually the right call here, because it can grab a Shuko if my opponent is playing the combo. So I'll name Stoneforge. Oh, Source of Plowshares instead. Okay. I should kept my gut. Okay, let's wait one more turn. But they in fact have only white cards in their hand. And now they have white mana. That's unfortunate. They can cast this, but they don't have equipments. Other equipments, I mean. They cast Brainstorm first, because Tamiyo got Brainstorm back. That means we can attack Tamiyo next turn. My opponent has a second Brainstorm. Okay, they will not cast this yet. They are trying to get more cards to have a beautiful turn 6. So maybe our Grave Troll will reveal Dread Return plus Ashen Rider? Maybe. What now? They play this. They can still cast a Source of Plowshares. Not yet. They will not attack yet. So come on deck, Dredge 6. Nothing good, nothing good. Let's cast Otherworldly Gaze before deciding on what to do. Poxwalkers finally, but we don't have ways to bring it back yet. I don't want Careful Study. I'll keep Brainstorm for next turn. My opponent will draw so many cards there. It is a chance that we have to get back to this game. We have 19 cards left in our deck, including our combo with Dread Return. So let's pass. My opponent is choosing what to exile with my Source of Plowshares if my opponent doesn't have anything juicy. Narcomoeba is probably the right answer, but it feels so bad, right? To exile a Narcomoeba with Source of Plowshares when your opponent have several others. Let's see what my opponent will do now. They still have only 1 white mana, so it's not the easier decision. Oh, they killed their own Tamiyo just to get Ponder. That's an interesting choice. They might have some good things to do this turn, but they need something a little bit better. No, they shuffled their deck. Maybe they are just looking for a combo piece. They will play another legendary spell. Boseiju first. Plagun, or Plagun, is there. So they will draw 3 cards. Now what? We have just a Brainstorm on top. Tamiyo. And my opponent is probably holding Source of Plowshares here. If my opponent's last cards are Force of Will or Negation and a blue card, we have no way to win this game. Let's draw our Brainstorm, and let's try to resolve Brainstorm. Okay, it's resolving, so Dredge 6. Bridge, but nothing else. Dredge 6 again. What? I cannot Dredge 6 again because we don't have Thassa's Oracle. If we had Thassa's Oracle, this would be a win. Can I Dredge 5 here and go to 1 card on top? Let's see. If I Dredge 5 here, and then I find Dredge Return plus Ashen Rider. My opponent will definitely exile Ashen Rider, right? So we would have 1 or 2 Poxwalkers, some zombies. So I maybe need to be lucky and Dredge 4 here, trying to hit exactly what I need. Dredge 4, just Dredge return. Oh gosh, Ashen Rider is on the very bottom of our deck. Let's put back Grave Troll, Grave Troll. Now I'll cast Cabal Therapy targeting my opponent, of course. We'll get some zombies. My opponent casts Source of Plowshares on our Comoba. That's fine. I prefer to keep Poxwalkers, so that's okay. Poxwalkers enters the battlefield tapped, and I'll name this equipment here. Hopefully my opponent still has it. Pre-war formal wear. Yeah, and a Stoneforge Mystic. So now we'll name Stoneforge, casting Cabal Therapy again. And after that is debatable if I should use my remaining Cabal Therapy or not. So Stoneforge Mystic. Because this is my last therapy, right? And I'll definitely find Ashen Rider next turn. So I can reanimate Ashen Rider and then cast Cabal Therapy twice. Exiling Nadu, my opponent will draw something, and then exiling Tamiyo probably. Maybe my opponent flips this Tamiyo. And then I can attack with my zombies. If I cast Cabal Therapy Dredge Return now, I will have 3 more zombies and a giant Grave Troll. Is this enough to win the game next turn? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 zombies, 20 power in play, 1 Poxwalkers, and 1 giant Grave Troll. Maybe this is better just to put more stuff in play immediately instead of waiting, because my opponent can always top deck a Grafdigger's Cage. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but I think this is the best thing we can do. If my opponent top decks a Grafdigger's Cage, we still can win this game, but it will be harder. So let's try. Let's get a bigger Grave Troll, right? This is probably our best chance to winning the game. To securing that we will have maximum use of our graveyard before my opponent top decks. So let's name Grave Troll, and then we'll just put a giant Grave Troll in play. 11 zombies, 1 Poxwalkers, and a giant Grave Troll. Can we win next turn? My opponent is on 16 life. They will draw several cards because of Plagan ability here. So this is not guaranteed. They can draw several cards here. Maybe flipping Tamiyo. Let's see. Okay, Plagan activates targeting Tamiyo. They reveal Veil of Summer. I pressed F6, I have nothing else to do. Again. The good thing is that this costs white or blue. So my opponent can still do that 1, 2, 3 times this turn, maybe more, if they reach some more blue mana with Nadu, blue or white mana. They have Source of Plowshares, they can exile my Golgari Grave Troll. Yep. So they have Veil of Summer and an unknown card. They decided not to tap this. We'll just draw one of 4 trolls that we have on top. And now I'll attack. We have 31 life. So we are healthy enough to attack here. My opponent cannot kill us with damage next turn. If they block 4 creatures, they are still dead. They need something better than that. They have 4 mana to work with. 1 from this creature and others. Okay, my opponent will activate Plagan again to draw something else. Okay, they reached Flooded Strand. Blockers assigned. We are dealing 16 damage. My opponent needs something better than that. And we won. Great. We won 2-0. But this was hard. This was hard. So let's go to our next match. Round 3. We are paired against White Fei. And this hand is super tempting because we have what we need. Unfortunately, we have only a tapped land. If my opponent is not playing Wastelands, this hand is slow, but good. I will keep it. But if they have Wasteland, no, just Urza Saga. Urza Saga is fine. I mean, it's not fine, but we can maybe have a shot against it. Scouting Turn is okay. Let's keep it on top so we can cast Careful Study and Brainstorm in the next turn. Holding Force of Will. Urza Saga goes up. My opponent plays Ancient Tomb. And Painter's Servant. We need to counter that. My opponent probably have something like Soul Guide Lantern in their deck, right? So I'll exile Force of Will here, because I don't think my opponent will go after Grindstone here unless they have a second Painter. But this is our best chance of winning the game. We'll draw a Scouting Turn. I'll crack it for an Underground Sea. And now I'll cast Careful Study, discarding 2 Dredgers. I'll cast Brainstorm. And likely we'll reveal at least 1 Narcomoeba here. Dredge. Oh, Dredge 6. 1 Narcomoeba, great. And let's see. We have 1 Therapy, 1 Bridge. I'll not discard. I'll put on top. So one of them, it will be Narcomoeba for sure. And what is the other card? Because we can even cast Cabal Therapy targeting ourselves here to discard the second Therapy or to discard Poxwalkers. I would like to have Poxwalkers back this turn before my opponent finds something else. This is an important decision. If my opponent exiles our graveyard, or we can at least tempt them to exile our graveyard if we put Narcomoeba on top. I need to cast 1 Cabal Therapy targeting them, naming Painter's Servant. That means we will not have Poxwalkers in the next turn. Or this turn, I mean. Because of that, maybe the right call is keeping Narcomoeba in our hand. Oh, this is so difficult. Or keeping this Cabal Therapy in our hands to rebuild our graveyard after that. Okay, so let's put back Golgari Grave Troll and Narcomoeba. I have 2 Narcos entering the battlefield this turn. I'm not revealing to my opponent what I have on top, but I can reveal what I have in my hand. Or maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, let's just cast Cabal Therapy targeting my opponent here, naming the second Painter Servant. Painter Servant. No, but they have Emery. Emery is good. So my opponent might have the win in 2 turns. Yeah, this is not an easy matchup for sure. My opponent's Saga... Okay, my opponent's tapping for mana, so no constructs. So Guide Lantern as expected. Exiling Bridge. If my opponent casts this instead of Emery, I'll take Emery with this Cabal Therapy next turn. And then we might have a way to win. No, they chose Emery, and that was a correct choice. Emery mills Grindstone, so my opponent has the full combo in 2 turns. You probably cannot win against my opponent's deck now. My opponent is passing, holding those 3 cards and something else. And so Guide Lantern, of course. I'll cast Otherworldly Gaze here. We know that we have a Narcomoeba on top, so let's put it into our graveyard to have some value, and I'll keep the Otherworldly Gaze on top. This might put some pressure on our opponent to sacrifice Soul Guide Lantern now. And they have Flame of Anor, so this is a Wizard's build. Astrologian's Planisphere gives them a Wizard. Okay, Narcomoeba's in play. My opponent wasn't tempted enough. And now we will attack. Emery plus Soul Guide Lantern is so good because now my opponent can exile our graveyard every turn. And if they don't feel it is needed, they can just go for the combo because they also have the combo in the graveyard. So everything will be colored white, okay? Our best chance to win here is top decking something like Force of Will. So we can force Grindstone to win 1 extra turn, but even that way, my opponent can block our zombie token. So it's probably hopeless. Now they have another creature with a better prowess. Let's dredge 6 here. Okay, we have another Otherworldly Gaze. We have another Bridge. My opponent has Thoughtcast in their hand, but they have the win next turn with Grindstone. Let's concede here, guys. Let's not show something else from our deck. We don't need it. We lost this. This is definitely a bad matchup because Forces and Dazes are not that good against this opponent. And we don't have that many tools to fight this deck. I built my sideboard thinking on other decks and not this specifically. So bounce spells can be good, of course, especially if my opponent is on lane line. Some Painter decks sometimes are on lane line. Dredge with an Ancient Rider might be good if we are fast enough. This can raise an Urza Saga. Daze is definitely not good. So instead of 3 Dazes, those 3 cards. And we might keep Force of Will, even if it's not that good against this opponent. Tamiyo is not good because my opponent is a combo deck, so I prefer to include more bounce spells. Maybe 1 Echoing Truth. The Line of the Void seems good, but sometimes your opponent will just bury you in Urza Saga constructs. Maybe you can change Force of Will for the Line of the Void. This is a deck, a matchup, in which Silent Gravestone would be awesome because my opponent targets their own cards in the graveyard and sometimes ours. Let's submit like that. Okay, we have bounce spells, we have our own plan. Let's keep it. Not perfect, but it is something. I will start with Otherworldly Gaze or Into the Flood Maw instead of Careful Study because my opponent might have a Soul Guide Lantern immediately. They can also have a Pyroblast, that's life, Volcanic Island, and Grindstone. Okay, so they have the combo. Bounce spells are probably good against the combo. Let's cast Otherworldly Gaze here. My opponent is thinking, maybe they have something? No? Okay. Let's put 2 Grave Trolls there, and I'll keep 1 Careful Study on top. Hopefully they don't have Fairy Macabre, please. No Fairy, no Surgical, nothing. Just your combo, and Urza Saga. I'm good. 2 Innocent Trolls left in my graveyard. Let me be happy, opponent, please. Okay, it is happening. We will draw our Careful Study. I'll play my Cephalic Coliseum, and now I'll cast my first Careful Study. My opponent has Force of Will, exiling Thoughtcast. Now it's interesting. If my opponent has Painter in their hand, they cannot win immediately. So I think we can cast our second Careful Study here. Oh, they have a second Force? Yeah, they have a second Force, exiling their second Thoughtcast. Okay, that means our bounce spells will resolve when we need them. My opponent has 2 remaining cards in their hand, and we can even crack Cephalic Coliseum next turn if my opponent do nothing. So we passed, my opponent draws. Lotus Petal, alright. Do they have a land? No? Ooh, no lands. My opponent needed that Thoughtcast. This is why they thought for a long time about playing it or not. Casting Force of Will or not. Maybe they have a Painter but no lands, so they are not casting Painter because they have a Lotus Petal. Maybe. Maybe they have Pyroblast. We will dredge 6. And now it's interesting. We can crack Cephalic Coliseum immediately trying to advance our own game plan, but I think the right call here is just passing the turn holding 1 of our bounce spells, because there is some chance that my opponent has Ancient Tomb, a second Petal, Painter, and win the game out of nowhere. This can always happen. And then if nothing happens, we just crack our Cephalic Coliseum in our own turn. We can also bounce or try to bounce Grindstone at the end of my opponent's turn and then crack Cephalic Coliseum and getting Grindstone with a Cabal Therapy. Or maybe I'm just overthinking and I need to advance my own game plan here because we have good dredgers there in our graveyard. And this is what I will do. I know I'm playing Blue Dredge, but let's try to be bold here and maybe win the game now. We need one Narcomoeba. No Narcos yet? One Narco. Great. So let's discard our best dredgers. We have one Breach. Oh, we have no Cabal Therapy. Oh no. We have Narcomoeba, but no therapies. My opponent is stopping at any moment. They might have a Fairy Macabre or Surgical Extraction. Now what? Narco is in play. If my opponent wants to kill Narco, they can. Unfortunately, we still don't have Cabal Therapy. We need to wait more turns. Let's see. My opponent has a second Petal. Please, no Ancient Tomb plus Painter, please. Oh, Thoughtcast. Thoughtcast is fine. They draw 2 more cards. No land? No land. Okay, so it's now or never. We will dredge. It's never. it seems it's never. Come on, deck. Come on. Where is our therapy? Everyone needs some therapy sometimes. And we need 4 of them. 21 cards left in our deck. I will attack with my Narcomoeba. Ha! Take that, opponent. Down to 17. And we pass a turn holding into the Flood Maw. I feel like we did everything right now. But, okay, my opponent has Painter. We will definitely try to bounce Painter, right? And if my opponent has Pyroblast... Oh, my opponent chose green. So everything is green. Let's try to bounce Painter Servant and see if this resolves. Okay, it resolved. We need a single Cabal Therapy. Come on, deck. Grave Troll, we can do it. 1 therapy. Just 1. And we have Dredge with an Ashen Rider, so this is good. Unless my opponent has an answer against Narco, Rider, or Bridges, we should win the game now. Oh, they have Fairy Macabre, targeting Narcomoeba and Cabal Therapy. So they were holding it for the right moment. We still have Dredge with 10 plus Ashen Rider. That means if my opponent cannot cast Painter and activate Grindstone at the same turn, next turn, we can still win the game. We have a chance. We still have a chance. I still believe it. Let's attack with Narcomoeba. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. We need oh, no. My opponent has the combo. That's unfortunate. That is a terrible variance. 3 more Cabal Therapies in our remaining 15 cards. We can't do a single thing. We don't have a second mana to cast Echoing Truth. Let's concede here. GG's. This is a bad matchup, but I had some hopes. Let's try to do better on our round 4. Round 4, we are paired against CyNightfox. And we are on the play. And this is slow, but okay, why not? With hands like this, guys, you can feel tempted to cast Cabal Therapy targeting yourself to discard Synchro Imp, and then casting Brainstorm on turn 2. This usually is a trap. It is just not the best you can do with this deck. The right play here is just play basic island and pass the turn. Remember, you play not as a combo deck immediately. You want to play a little bit like a tempo deck, having some value from your cantrips here and there. Yeah, my opponent is playing Red Prison. Thankfully, we have a basic island, and that's why they don't want Blood Moon. They exile Seaman Spirit Guide. They have 3 mana. Magus of the Moon. We don't care that much about Magus, so this is fine. We lost our Underground Sea, but this is fine. Let's cast Otherworldly Gaze here. Daze is not that good against this opponent. Well, they have only 2 mana now, so maybe Daze has a shot. But I don't think it is the best we can do here. We have, for the first time, Tamiyo plus Brainstorm, so maybe this is better. All of those cards are actually pretty good here. So we can keep Tamiyo on top, cast Brainstorm to find Cephalic Coliseum and Daze. Of course, Cephalic Coliseum is not a real land against Magus, but at some point, we might remove Magus, or at least have 3 lands in play. Maybe this is not that good anymore because we don't have black. Let's put Cephalic Coliseum into our graveyard, and I will keep Daze on top and Tamiyo on top. Daze is usually not that good against my opponent, but since they had a slower start with just Magus of the Moon, I think it is probably fine. Oh, we cannot... of course, because we have Underground Sea. We cannot flip this immediately. But this will put some pressure in my opponent's decisions. Let's cast Tamiyo. I'll play Underground Sea, and I'll pass. Tamiyo is just a wall for the next turn. Let's see if my opponent has something better. New deck, guys, new deck. Charlie's on 1, so no Brainstorm anymore. That's fine, you can always crack some clues. So we will draw our Daze. And in fact, my opponent didn't have the 3rd mana. So I think we will attack and crack the clue immediately, right? Not actually, we have Otherworldly Gaze there. It is probably better than cracking the clue. We can still wait a little bit more to crack it. And I'm still holding Daze. Come on, Mahfuz, are you losing your mind? You cannot crack Otherworldly Gaze because of Chalice. Of course, you have only a clue token. I think I need an extra coffee. Come on, come on. Pay attention. So we only have 2 available plays here, Daze and cracking the clue. So let's crack the clue. Okay, our third land is here. It's unfortunately just a mountain, so I'll not play it. It might be better to just wait 2 more turns to discard a Dredger. Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. We have Daze here, 3 mana for our opponent. They have Broadside Bombardiers, but we have Daze. So no Pirates action. And now we even have 1 extra card in our hand after casting Daze. So we still need to wait just 2 turns to discard a Dredger. Oh, Force is good. But I think I want to draw the clue anyways, right? So let's play the island again. And we will attack with Tamiyo. And of course, this is better. Let's cast 1 more card. Okay, Grave Troll is actually pretty good. 1 more turn to naturally discard Grave Troll. Luckily, we will not need to cast this Force of Will immediately. My opponent has only 2 cards in their hand. Okay, they attack dealing 2 damage. We're down to 16. That's fine. And they are just passing the turn. This is it. This is it. We are so winning now. So let's attack first. We can even discard 2 cards thanks to Tamiyo, because we will draw 1 extra card now. Another blue card in case we draw another Force. That's okay. But we'll probably just start dredging now. We have 9 cards in our hand. So let's discard 2 cards. I think Grave Troll and Cabal Therapy, right? Right. Now I'm feeling good. Even against Magus of the Moon and Chalice on 1, because we have Tamiyo and Forces, I'm feeling good. Let's discard Grave Troll and Cabal Therapy and see what my opponent can do. Do your worst. I'm prepared. Just attacking with Magus, alright. And passing the turn. Beautiful. We will dredge 6. Okay, we have Narcos and Poxwalkers there. My opponent probably have some 4 mana cost spells, like the One Ring or maybe Fury. We cannot take those because of Chalice on 1, but we can make some zombies and get Poxwalkers back before my opponent drops a Pyrogoyf or something. So first, let's attack with Tamiyo. And this time, I will not crack my clue. I'll just pass a turn because we don't have dredges there, and now I want those clues to be some dredge action. So let's cast Cabal Therapy here just to bring back Poxwalkers and 1 zombie. My opponent probably will not attack with Magus anymore, and we still have a Force of Will. So let's pass the turn here, discarding Grave Troll. Tamiyo, holding our stuff together against Prison Elements. We discard Grave Troll. At the end of my opponent's turn, I will crack the clue. Okay, my opponent found their 4th land, and they will try Pyrogoyf. We have a counterspell. Let's exile Otherworldly Gaze. Let's see if my opponent wants to attack. No. And now we'll crack the clue. And now we'll crack the clue, but instead of that, we'll dredge 6. And this is nice. Let's dredge 6. Okay, we have dredgers, so now we can... I think I'll probably attack, right? If my opponent wants to exchange here, I'm fine. I'm super fine. So let's attack with everyone. My opponent is still on 20 life. Let's put some pressure on them. Okay, they are down to 14. I think I will dredge here. Let's keep doing our own thing. Okay, we have another Poxwalkers there for next turn. And that's it for now. Let's discard 1 of our Grave Trolls. Again, we are short on therapies. Only 1 therapy on the top 38 cards. Luckily, in the next turn, we'll find another therapy. My opponent will probably have, okay, another mountain for our opponent. They probably have another Pyrogoyf or the One Ring or something. Yeah, Pyrogoyf is there. So they can kill something. No, they'll just deal damage to ourselves. We'll go down to 6 now. Okay, next turn we'll keep something to block. We'll dredge 6. No therapies. Alright, now what? Let's attack with Poxwalkers and Tamiyo. Let's see if my opponent wants to block. I don't think they want to. No blocks. Down to 11. And now we'll crack this clue, trying to find therapies, please. Dredge 6. Okay, 2 therapies. So we, unfortunately, only 1 bridge. We still have 2 bridges and 1 therapy. And the remaining 10 cards from our deck. Let's cast Cabal Therapy, targeting whatever. Sacrificing Poxwalkers, so now we have 2 Poxwalkers. And I'll use my other one before my opponent destroys some of their own creatures. We don't need to discard more than 1 card here, so let's play Misty as a mountain. And I'll pass the turn, discarding Grave Troll. Okay, we have blockers, but if my opponent has a second Pyrogoyf, we lost. If they have Broadside Bombardiers, okay, just the One Ring. I mean, it is good, but we still have a shot. My opponent taps the One Ring and plays another land. They will not attack. My opponent will go down to 10. We kind of have lethal if my opponent cannot kill us next turn. I still think we need... How many lands do we still have in our deck? Let's see. 1, 2, 3. We still have 2 lands in our deck. Okay, let's dredge here. Dredge 6. Okay, Narcomoeba, 1 therapy, and 1 bridge. Let's attack with Tamiyo. We don't have lands anymore here. So I don't care anymore about Tamiyo. I'll just sacrifice Tamiyo here to get more zombies. And that's it. If my opponent draws something that can win the game or a second One Ring, they win. If they can't, we win. We can crack one clue here. Do we still have Force of Will in our deck? 1 force, 2 forces, 3, 4. No, we don't have force anymore. My opponent tapped the One Ring. They have Fury. Fury is okay. They exiled Blood Moon. Fury is fine. If they want to kill our Poxwalkers, we'll just have more zombies. If they order those triggers correctly, we can grab our Poxwalkers with Otherworldly Gaze. So Fury is fine. We can still survive this turn. They need more than that. They can kill 2 Poxwalkers and 2 Narcos. Yeah. And they are ordering correctly, so we will not have triggers from Bridge anymore. But we can bring back our Poxwalkers at the end of this turn easily. We still have lethal. They need more than that. Come on. Oh, another Pyroglyph. Come on. You could just cast this Pyroglyph. We lost. But I enjoyed this first game a lot. We had a shot there. So against this deck, we need some bounce spells instead of Daze. Daze is not good. Again, I'm not sure about Tamiyo here. Tamiyo gave us some card advantage. But against a possible Chalice on 1, I don't think Tamiyo is our best turn 1 play. So let's change 2 Tamiyos for 1 Ashen Rider and 1 Dredge Return. Force of Will is important. I feel it is still important. And let's keep 1 Tamiyo. I mean, no, we will not keep it because we need to take something else from our deck. So let's not keep 1 Tamiyo. And probably 1 Brainstorm here. Let's try like that. We are on the play. A bounce spell and other stuff. Count me in. Access to basic island. This is Misty Rainforest pass. And then we can bounce something or cast Otherworldly Gaze. Hopefully my opponent will not have Chalice. They kept 7 cards. Let's pass. They draw. Shatter's Code. Oh, this is so slow. My opponent might have some Graveyard Hate, maybe Fairy. This is such a slow start for a 7-card hand. Let's grab the basic here. And I'll cast Otherworldly Gaze. Okay, let's put everything into the bin. I want other lands here. Yeah, my opponent is stopping here and there. They might have something. My opponent stopped to think. Okay, no answer from my opponent, so Narco is in play. Now we have a natural draw here. Poxwalkers. So we cast Careful Study, please. A land. Not a land, but Force is good. If we discard Golgar Grief Troll and my opponent has Fairy or Surgical, they will probably fire it immediately. And then we have Force of Will. But I'm not sure if I want to force my opponent's Surgical. If they have Fairy, this is not easy. This is not an easy decision. Okay, let's discard Grave Troll and Therapy. And now I will attack with my Narcomoeba. And I will not cast Cabal Therapy yet. Let's see what they would do on turn 2 before committing this Cabal Therapy. Okay, my opponent draws and plays Ancient Tomb. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. This is a no, right? Let's counter that. And my opponent passes without doing much. Let's Dredge 6. Okay, this time my opponent is not stopping in my phases. So maybe they don't have nothing. Maybe they have nothing. Let's cast Cabal Therapy here. Yeah, it's just resolving. So my opponent stopped, but it seems they don't have much. Brainstorm is good for next turn. 3 Narcos are good. We don't have Dredge Return yet. We have Ashen Rider. We need to discard Dredgers here. Only 2 cards. I think I will discard Dredger. We have 1 Therapy though. And try better next turn with Poxwalkers plus Bridge. Yeah, let's put our Dredgers there. We have 1 extra Narco. I think this time I will name the One Ring. The One Ring is super scary because we're not playing with Thassa's Oracle anymore. So the One Ring is probably the scariest card on my opponent's hand. They might have something completely different than the One Ring. They might have something like Pyroglyph again. But I'll name the One Ring. Yeah, they have the One Ring. And also a second Fable and other lands. Yeah. Okay, so this was a good shot. We still have Brainstorm for next turn. Let's pass. No Chalice soon, unless my opponent top decks the Chalice here. So they play Volcanic Fissure and Fable. Sorry, guys. Now in our upkeep, we will cast Brainstorm. We'll Dredge 6, 6, and 6 again. No Dredge Return yet. Let's put Bridge and Poxwalkers there. Narcomoeba enters. And now we have Dredge. We have 4 more views here. Okay, no Dredge Return yet. Let's attack with 2 Narcomoebas. And then I will take the lands from my opponent's hand. They have 1 unknown card in their hand. Now we deal 2 damage to my opponent, down to 12. And I'll cast Cabal Therapy targeting them. 2 Poxwalkers coming back. And 2 new zombies. I'll name Shatter's Code Smashing. And another Fable. Let's take that. So more zombies. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. And now my opponent has a Mountain and a Sundering Eruption. We have a bunch of zombies. We have lethal for next turn. My opponent needs to win the game this turn. Or at least finding under 1 ring. They will draw 2 extra cards here. They discarded the 2 cards that we knew about. So my opponent kept a hand without Graveyard Hate. We are still not sure about what is the Graveyard Hate that my opponent uses. Okay, Broadside Bombardier and Simian Spirit Guide. Okay, my opponent will keep those creatures to block, but we have lethal anyways. Let's draw here and just attack. My opponent can block 3 creatures here and we still have lethal. And we won. Let's go to game 3. And this is hard because part of me wants to gamble that my opponent will not have Leyline of the Void, so we don't need into the Flood Mole. But, this is a big but, we probably cannot give us the luxury against Mono Red Prison to play without bounce spells. So let's submit the deck back. Now we are on the draw, so Force of Will is also a premium card in our hand. No lands, no keep, and no bounce spells, no forces. This hand is trash. Let's go to the next one. Okay, my opponent kept 7 again. And this hand might be good, but this can also be a trap. I think we can do better. Let's mulligan to 5. This is not better. This is actually pretty bad. Let's go to 4. Now what? This is so bad. Okay, if my opponent keeps a slow hand like they kept in the previous game, we may have a chance with this hand. But I'm not feeling confident. Not at all. We can keep those 4 cards here, hoping to top deck Fetch Land or Underground Sea, and try to win the game, even if my opponent has a Magus of the Moon or Blood Moon, and this is it. We have a basic island. I hate this hand, but I think we cannot go to 3. Let's keep this. We couldn't find a bounce spell as well. My opponent kept a hand without Leyline of the Void, so they might not have Leyline. They kept 7. Shadow Skull tapped. It's a slow hand. We have a chance. Come on, deck. Be good to us. Be good to us. Force of Will. Not what we want to see. I will place a Faded Coliseum here just to disguise that our hand, because we have a basic island here, but my opponent might think that Blood Moon effects are good against us. If we had 1 blue spell in our hand, only 1, just a Broadside. Broadside alone does nothing. So far that's okay. We will draw. Grave Troll is not good. Okay, let's play basic island. And now my opponent draws. Okay, basic mountain, destroying City of Traitors, and the One Ring. Yeah, guys, it's over. Sometimes Dredge can mulligan into Oblivion, even Blue Dredge. We usually have better mulligan abilities, but even Blue Dredge sometimes will mulligan into Oblivion, and this is what happened to us now. Into the Flute Maul, now we have a Blue Peach, but okay, let's wait just 1 extra turn. Just 1, because my opponent has only 2 mana to work with. We have a force here. We can maybe draw something. Let's not give up so soon, but this is probably too late. My opponent plays a land. They attack. They have 7 cards in their hand. We're down to 14. We'll cast force on anything here, right? Especially Chalice on 1. And now it's our last turn to draw something before my opponent kills us. Scouting turn. Okay. Let's try, like. Let's try. I mean, we are probably lost anyways. Why not trying, right? So let's cast Cabal Therapy, targeting ourselves, naming Grave Troll. And now my opponent knows that we have only a Stinkwood Imp in our hand. If my opponent doesn't have moon effects, we can crack Cephalic Coliseum next turn. Now we have Dredge Return, we have Ashen Rider. Oh, my opponent had Fairy Macabre, so this was their hate. Now they draw 3 extra cards with the One Ring. Oh, my opponent has nothing? They might have Fury here to cast it and throw Fury at our face. Oh no, they threw the One Ring at our face, okay. They play a basic mountain and Pyroglyph, yeah. Well, guys, it was a good round, but unfortunately lost. Let's go to our final match. Final round, we are paired against ReformedPaolo, and this is a mulligan, no lands. Oh, we are on the draw. This is so slow, but I think it's a keep. Let's put Bridge back, and let's see what my opponent is playing. Underground Sea, of course. And we'll Careful Study. But I think I will start with Undercity Sewers here, because we're on the draw and my opponent might be playing Reanimator. Are we keeping Force? I think we keep Force. Because maybe we need to cast Daze here. Yeah, we need to cast Daze. So no Entomb, unless they also have Daze or Force of Will. They have Daze? Okay. So no, I cannot pay for Daze. If they have Reanimate, we are probably losing. If they have... Okay, Atraxa, if they have Animate Dead, we still have a shot. Underground Sea. And Thoughtseize. Alright. We have a Force of Will on top, so we might have a chance here, guys. We might have a chance at least to counter my opponent's Reanimation spell. Now we'll draw our Force of Will that my opponent doesn't know about it. I'll just replay Undercity Sewers here. Basic Island. Is this good? Not sure. I prefer a blue spell on top. Luckily, my opponent will not have a Wasteland here. They play Polluted Delta, cracks it for another Underground Sea. And Animate that. Let's try to counter it. My opponent has 3 cards in their hand. They have Force of Will back. Okay. So Atraxa will refill their hand. We tried, guys. We did the right thing. Unfortunately, it didn't work. My opponent now has, okay, Entomb, several lands there. And they have a Force of Will. I believe they will probably keep Force and Pounder here. Force of Will, Pounder, Polluted Delta, Brazen Borer. So no Entomb, no Island, no Polluted Delta. No Thoughtseize, no Work. Alright. So we'll have a draw. Daze, a little too late, right? And We are not dead yet, but this will be so difficult to win. We have 3 turns to draw something, and my opponent has counter spells. Ponder works. My opponent shuffles and plays Polluted Delta and cracks it for a second Ponder. Now, no shuffle. And we are down to 13. Atraxa is so busted. We have an Underground Sea here. That's an interesting thing, because we can cast this Inquisitive as a blocker, and if my opponent counters it, that's okay, because Inquisitive goes to our graveyard. So let's cast it, just as a blocker, so we survive for 1 extra turn. My opponent is casting Daze, so they still have a Force of Will. Now it's interesting, guys. I secretly want to put Inquisitive in my graveyard, but my opponent doesn't know that. So we could cast Daze on my opponent's Daze here. Now they would just tap 1 extra land there, right? But I could do that just to grab my Undercity Deceivers back, because this might be good instead of... Yeah, because instead of casting Inquisitive again, my opponent will definitely force. We at least can Surveil in the next turn and maybe go 1 card deeper. It could be an Arcomoeba, for example, to block Atraxa. So yeah, let's cast Daze on Daze, returning Undercity Deceivers. Okay, my opponent paid the 1, and Inquisitive is there. And now we will just pass the turn. My opponent will put us down to 6 life here. They have Force of Will, Brazen Borrower, and something else. Atraxa hits. They play their own Undercity Deceivers and 1 Pounder. Shuffles. And that's it. Okay. We have a shot. It's a bad shot, but it's a shot. Let's dredge 5. No other dredgers there. That's so unfortunate. Let's play Undercity Deceivers here. Trying to hit 1 dredger. Just as a Cephalic Coliseum. That means we will lose to a 6-7, right? My opponent has Force of Will. They will counter any spell that we would do. We can draw 3 here. Okay, let's consider here. If we draw 3, discard 3, and you draw exactly Force of Will, blue card, Brainstorm. Even that, I need 1 blue mana. And yeah, we cannot win this game anymore, guys. Let's concede here. My opponent had a reanimation plan with 2 counter spells. It was that good. So let's change forces for Ley Lines. I will keep Daze on the play. Do we keep Tamiyo? This is a good and interesting decision here. I think Tamiyo is probably too slow for us here, I mean. Of course, my opponent can keep a hand full of counter spells, but this is something good against Tempo, and we didn't face any Tempo deck in this league. So let's exchange Tamiyo to include 3 copies of it into the Flood Maw, and let's submit. Now we are on the play, and my expectations is that we will have a better hand, and maybe we can even find Leyline. Leyline is not that good in this matchup anymore, because sometimes your opponent will just have Tempo threats, right? Like Tamiyo or Kish Bowmaster, something like that. Barrogoyf. So yeah, I would like to play first. Okay, this is a keep. Leyline, Daze, Otherworldly Gaze, sign me up. This is a great mulligan to 4, and I'll keep it. Leyline is in play. My opponent also kept 7 cards. So I'll start with the basic island. And since we need more lands, I don't care too much if my opponent reanimates a creature from my deck, but we need more lands. So let's cast this Otherworldly Gaze on my opponent's upkeep. Okay, Dredgers and land. So far so good. I don't want to cast Daze here, but I might to. My opponent cracks the Scouting Turn immediately. Underground Sea, and Tamiyo. So let's cast Daze. Especially because we couldn't crack the Cephalic Coliseum next turn anyways. So this at least has a chance to... Okay, no, my opponent didn't counter my Daze. So that's fine. Let's draw. Maybe my opponent has Thoughtseize, so they can discard 1 extra card from our hand. I would like that. My opponent draws. And nothing else? Oh, my opponent kept a 7-card hand with Tamiyo and nothing else. Maybe Entomb and Reanimate. So let's stretch 4. Luckily, no Narcomoebas. 1 Narcomoeba. Okay, let's say yes to Narcomoeba here. That's fine. I'll place Cephalic Coliseum and I'll pass the turn again. And then we can cast Otherworldly Gaze on my opponent's end step. Okay, my opponent found Polluted Delta for Doughty Voidwalker. That's a good one. So I'll cast Otherworldly Gaze in response. My opponent casts Daze. Okay. Yeah, this was probably a bad timing of mine, because I should do that, considering that my opponent could have Daze even on the draw. I should play what I did on my opponent's upkeep. Now I have Careful Study. Let's cast it. We need a bounce spell here. I'll draw. Okay, a bounce spell. I'll still draw. Okay, so let's discard 2 cards that will be exiled. Thug and 1 Dredger. Unfortunately, we don't have a window to try to bounce Doughty before that. If we had, I could try to Cabal Therapy Doughty this turn. So let's attack. My opponent has 1 Underground Sea in their hand, and we'll try to bounce Doughty on my opponent's end step. They replace Underground Sea. They have a second Doughty. Okay, guys, let's concede here. Let's concede. We had a 2-3 result, and of course, this shows us that Tamiyo is probably not that good in our deck. But let's talk a little bit about how it went on this league. So guys, let's talk a little bit about this deck, why Tamiyo didn't work that well in our deck. I think we had some bad variance in this league, bad mulligans, not the best hands. Usually we have better hands that compared to that, so let's keep that in mind. But the other thing is that Tamiyo is probably not our best turn 1 play. We have Otherworldly Gaze, Careful Study. I think Tamiyo is probably good in situations where you have Tamiyo and also Counterspell and also Brainstorm or Careful Study, but no Dredgers yet. This would be a keep. But we had no starting hands like this, not in this league. So maybe I could investigate it a little bit more. I'm inclined to play, maybe just for myself, not recording, another league right now with 4 Tamiyos and Thassa's Oracle instead of Daze. So instead of playing Satoru combo, we are playing Thassa's Oracle and Tamiyo combo, let's say. And this might work, maybe better than including Dazes and Force of Will with 3 copies of Tamiyo. Let's see. Maybe 4 Tamiyo, Thassa's Oracle, and Dredge Return instead of 3 copies of Daze. I will try it and I will let you know, and maybe I can record a new league here for the channel. And you see, we had 4 copies of Leyline of Sanctity this time, but they were never useful because our opponents weren't green, or combos like Necrodominance. So Leyline of Sanctity wasn't that useful. But every time you have this against a green opponent, you will love it. And that's it. The result wasn't that good, but I think this might be due to variance. This league could easily be a 3-2 at least. Let me know your thoughts here as usual. Click like button, subscribe, and leave a comment below. And I'll see you soon in our next Legacy or Modern League. See you there. Bye.